You've been chasing the wrong thing. I know you don't think so. Everything around you says that happiness is the goal. The self-help industry, the wellness brands, even your friends. They're all pushing the same message. If you're not happy, you're failing. But here's what I've found after studying Taoist philosophy for years. Happiness is a trap. And the masters knew it 2,500 years ago. Most people don't realize this, but you've been sold a fundamental lie. The lie is that happiness is stable, that if you just reach it, you'll stay there. But that's not how emotions work. Happiness requires something it needs to contrast against. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you felt genuinely happy? Really sit with that moment. What made it feel like happiness? Wasn't it because you were coming out of something else? Maybe boredom, maybe stress, maybe just neutral. Happiness is a spike. And here's the problem with spikes. They always come down, every single time. You get the promotion, and for 2 weeks you're flying. Then your brain adapts. The new baseline becomes normal. The spike collapses back down, and now you're chasing the next one. This is the exhaustion you feel, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you're trying to live on spikes. And spikes, by their nature, cannot last. But that's not all. There's something deeper here that the happiness industry never tells you. Listen, happiness requires desire. You have to want to be happy. You have to believe that happiness is important, achievable, worth pursuing. So you set the goal, you chase it. And in the chasing itself, you create suffering. Wanting itself is a form of suffering. Zhuangzi, one of the greatest Taoist masters, asked a question that seems simple on the surface. How do you know the fish aren't happy? A man was watching fish swimming in a river. He wasn't saying this poetically. He was pointing at something precise. You're projecting your desire for a specific emotional state onto everything. You're assuming that other people, other beings, even fish, need happiness to be okay. But what if they don't? What Zhuangzi was really saying is this: contentment doesn't require you to feel happy. In fact, contentment is something different entirely. It's stable. It doesn't spike and crash. It just is. Here's what I mean. Imagine two emotional states. The first is happiness, that peak, that rush, that feeling that everything is right. It feels incredible, but you know it won't last. You're already anxious about losing it. The second state is contentment, not excitement, not even pleasure necessarily, just a baseline sense of okayness, a feeling that things are as they should be. This state doesn't require anything to happen. It's not dependent on circumstances. It's not fragile. Now the question, which one would you actually rather have if you could only choose one for the rest of your life? Most people say happiness in theory, but when they really think about it, when they imagine living in that state permanently, they start to understand. Contentment would be a relief. Contentment would be freedom. And here's the hidden thing that Taoism reveals. The Taoist path isn't about becoming happy. It's about removing the need to be happy. Do you see the difference? That's not a small distinction. That's everything. When you stop needing to feel a certain way, something shifts. The anxiety about your emotional state disappears. The guilt, that crushing guilt of "I should be happier than this," it vanishes. Because you realize okayness is enough. The Taoist masters called this Wu Wei, non-action, or more precisely, action without force. It means you stop pushing against reality. You stop demanding that your emotions be different from what they are. you stop trying to engineer happiness. And when you stop pushing, you relax into your actual state. And your actual state, without all that resistance, is peaceful, is content, is okay. Notice your breathing right now. Most of the time when you're chasing happiness, your breathing is shallow. There's a subtle tension in your chest. You're striving. But when you let go of that need, even for a moment, your breath deepens. Your shoulders drop. Your nervous system recognizes there's no emergency here. Everything is already complete. Now I know what you might be thinking. Isn't this just resignation? Isn't this giving up? No. And here's why that's a crucial distinction. The happiness industry has convinced you that not being happy means you're failing. But contentment isn't failure. It's not settling. It's the opposite of both. It's recognizing that the game you were playing, the game of constant emotional optimization, was rigged from the start. When you let go of the need to be happy, something paradoxical happens. You become more capable of engaging with life, not less. Because you're no longer consuming all your mental energy on emotional self-management. You're no longer anxious about your mood. You're no longer performing happiness for others. You're just present. And from that place of presence, without the desperate edge of need, things actually work better. This is where Taoism is fundamentally different from the Western self-help approach. The West says, identify what you want, create a plan, execute with discipline until you achieve it. That works for external things sometimes, but emotions don't work that way. Forcing happiness creates resistance, and resistance creates suffering. Taoism says, understand what you're actually looking for. Recognize that it's already available to you right now, in this moment, as a baseline state. The only thing blocking you is the effort itself. Stop the effort. But there's something else here that makes this click into place completely. Contentment includes difficult emotions. This is what happiness cannot do. When you're pursuing happiness, difficult emotions feel like failure. Sadness feels wrong. Frustration feels wrong. Grief feels wrong. So you resist them. You try to skip past them. You tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way. But contentment, true contentment, includes sadness as part of the texture of being alive. It includes frustration as information. It includes grief as love expressed through time. These emotions aren't failures. They're not obstacles to contentment. They're part of the baseline. When you accept that, something releases in you. You stop fighting half your emotional life. And when you stop fighting half your emotional life, you find that the other half is no longer so demanding, so fragile, so desperate. The Taoist sage in the ancient texts isn't described as the happiest person. He's described as the person who has stopped needing anything to be different. He's occupied in the world, but not grasping. He experiences loss and doesn't spiral. He experiences joy and doesn't cling to it. He's content. So let me ask you something directly. What if everything you were chasing for happiness is actually preventing contentment? What if the self-help books, the morning routines, the optimization protocols, what if all of that is just another form of striving? Another way of saying, I'm not okay right now. I need to become okay through effort? And what if the actual path is the opposite? The path of recognizing I am already okay, not because my circumstances are perfect, not because my emotions are perfect, but because okayness doesn't require those things. It never did. This is the secret the Taoist masters knew. Not happiness, equilibrium, balance, the recognition that your baseline is already complete. You've been reaching for happiness like it's a destination. But contentment isn't a destination. It's what's already here when you stop the reaching. The question isn't how to be happier. The question is, what happens if you give yourself permission to just be okay? That question will change everything. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and keep it simple. See you tomorrow.